You got a year left on your contract, and policy has said he doesn't like lame duck seasons. Do you expect to be back next season? Have you guys already started negotiating that deal? Or?
Yeah, with all due respect to your question, Pete, now's not the time for that. I mean, I'm just hurting for these guys. I can only think about just what just happened, and there will be time for that.
Adam Schefter joins us now in a year when John Harbaugh is gone from the Ravens. Certainly anything can happen here. Schefty, the Packers lost their final 5 games of the season. What can you tell us about LaFleur's future?
Well, Hannah, there already have been discussions between Matt LaFleur and the Packers about extending him. But obviously, there's still a lot up in the air, and there was going to be a lot up in the air until after the season ended, and it ended last night. And so with him having 1 year left on his contract, it does become a question of whether the Packers want to extend him or whether they want to move on from him. If they were to move on from him, if they made that decision, I think they would be doing it with the idea that the name Harlan is royalty in the Green Bay area. Harlan, Brian Harlan, also happens to be the agent that represents John Harbaugh. And so they would have to make the decision that this would be something that they would be willing to do. We've heard a lot of talk from about a lot of different teams. This is something that Green Bay has to decide here in the coming days, very shortly, about whether they want to jump in or whether they want to keep a coach who's been as successful as Matt LaFleur. Their decision, that belongs to Ed Policy.
Yeah, listen, 76-40-1 in the regular season. Everybody can see that topic bar below you, 3-6 in the playoffs. Yeah, Schefty, one more thing.
But I do want to say, again, that would make the coaching cycle spin even faster because all of a sudden, now, just like it changed once John Harbaugh was brought into the cycle, if Matt LaFleur's brought into the cycle, these other teams also would be lining up to hire him.
And what if Mike Tomlin was brought into the cycle? I mean, we may not be done with this, and it just feels like an epic year in terms of that coaching carousel, potentially. All right, Schefty, we'll get back to you with some key injuries today. We got to talk more about last night, though. So let's go over to BC and the fellas.
Yeah, Hannah, here with Damian Woody, of course, Herm Edwards. You heard Adam Schefter here. Give me your quick thoughts here. What do you think, Green Bay? And Matt LaFleur?
Look, Adam knows he's more tied in than I am, but all of a sudden, 8 coaches, if he's one that is dismissed, who's taking all these jobs? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
What do you think, Big Wood?
Taking all these jobs.
If you're Green Bay, you start thinking about Matt LaFleur?
Listen, I think Hannah said it perfectly. If Baltimore dismissed John Harbaugh in anybody's game in this type of situation, we just know the atmosphere in the NFL. Like, these owners, they want results now. They want championships now. So we'll see.
Okay. You know what drives this? We always say it's the owners. It's not the owners. It's the fan bases when you have a coach that stays too long.
Interesting. Let's talk about this game. Coach, how did the Bears pull off this comeback, in your opinion?
Well, it's real simple. Get it into the fourth quarter and play from behind. That's what they do. They've won 7 games this year with Caleb Williams playing outstanding at the quarterback position. And when it gets to the fourth quarter, this team's very calm. And last night, we're sitting there watching this game. I said, he's going to find a way to win the game. He is unbelievable how he can throw a football with accuracy off platform. I mean, you want to actually keep Caleb Williams in the pocket. You don't want him to lead the pocket because that's when all the craziness starts. He runs around, he throws like hook shots, he throws underneath balls. He just finds ways to get the ball down the field.
Yeah, but all of that didn't happen without the Bears defense. I mean, look at the difference between the first half when Green Bay was doing whatever they wanted and the second half when their first 3 drives were 3 and out. In the fourth drive, they only had 5 plays in that drive. So I thought defensive coordinator Dennis Allen did a fantastic job of cranking up pressure on Jordan Love because they didn't get to him at much of any in the first half. But in the second half, he was clearly feeling the heat from that Chicago Bears defense.
Caleb Williams threw for nearly 200 yards in that fourth quarter. Also, the Bears scored 25 points, but it was a costly one. They lost their linebacker, T.J. Edwards, and their left tackle, Ozzie Trapillo, to season-ending injuries. Damian, Herm, talk to you guys a little bit later in the show.
Yes,
Anna?
Yeah, and listen, BC, we have to talk about this game. What a way to kick off the wild card playoffs with the Rams taking won. What a scene there in Carolina for the fans. What an effort by a team that really no one predicted would win that game, but on go the Rams. All right, so Matthew Stafford, it looked like he injured his finger on his right hand there. He hit it on a Panthers defender in the second quarter. I know he didn't come out of the game or miss a play, but what can you tell us about Stafford and his health?
And he didn't miss a play, but he missed some passes after that, and his completion percentage dropped after he banged his finger. He said after the game, it wasn't pleasant. His adrenaline helped him get through the game, but he's going to undergo tests today in Los Angeles that could reveal a sprained right pointer finger. Now, we'll see how that plays out, but obviously that'll be an issue in the second round. May get an extra day to rest, may not, but he was able to stay in the game, finish it, and lead them to victory in dramatic fashion. So clearly it looks like he'll be able to play, but clearly that finger was not entirely right yesterday once he injured it.
Yeah, that was his fourth game-winning drive in the fourth quarter in the playoffs since he came to the Rams. You can see why McVay wanted him so badly. Adam, let's get into the status of some key players in today's wild card matchups. If you could start with Lane Johnson in Philly.
Yeah, the Eagles were preparing and expecting to have Lane Johnson today, Hannah, and then this week practice didn't go great. Had a little bit of a setback there at practice. They want to see if he's able to go in pregame warmups today. Probably will not have a decision until then. He is as tough as they come, but even then, it sounds like it's going to be challenging for Lane Johnson to play after aggravating that foot injury. Trent Williams looks like he is expected to be out there today. Last week, Kyle Shanahan said if they had one more day and not played Seattle on Saturday, Trent Williams would have been able to play on Sunday with the hamstring. He is expected to be out there today versus the Eagles, which is big news for the 49ers at left tackle. And the Chargers are listing Omarion Hampton, their rookie first-round draft pick, as questionable for tonight's game against the Patriots. But Omarion Hampton said he does plan to play through that ankle injury that's bothered him, that held him out of the last regular season game. He will be out there tonight in New England in a matchup of two AFC teams. We'll see how healthy Hampton is once he's out there tonight, Hannah.
Those two offensive linemen that you mentioned, they're nearing the very end of their careers. So it'll be really interesting. Both of them so critical to their teams as well.
Yep.
Adam, thank you so much. We will see you at the top of the hour. On with you, a matchup between the teams to represent the NFC in the last three Super Bowls. It's the Eagles hosting the Niners, a rematch of the 2022 NFC Championship game in which Philly won 31-7 after the Niners' Brock Purdy tore the UCL in his elbow on the opening drive of the game. Between these two, they own the last three NFC titles. Eagles, of course, winning last season, and the Niners in 2023. As we head now to Lincoln Financial Field, where Sal Paolantonio, as always, is first on the field in Philly. Sal, we just heard Schefter's report on these key offensive linemen in this matchup. What more can you tell us about how the availability of Trent Williams and Lane Johnson might affect this one today?
Yeah, let's look at Trent Williams first. Hamstring injury, limited in practice, questionable game time decision. Why is he so important in this game? Got to protect Brock Purdy against the Eagles' pass rush. And Trent Williams is the heart and soul and the conscience of this football team. He sets the tone on the offensive line. Without him, it's much, much different. You see Brock Purdy under duress, but the Eagles know that they can attack the middle of this offensive line, just like the Seattle Seahawks did when the San Francisco 49ers lost to the Seahawks in Week 18. It's the middle of the offensive line that the Eagles think they can attack. Now, let's go to Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson's been missing in action for 7 weeks with a Liz Frank injury. He is so important to this football team. Take a look at this graphic as a very good indication of just how important he is. When he is in the lineup, the Eagles are 120-62-1. Without him, 18-28 points per game. There you see it on the graphic. 26.3 with him, 21.9 without him. Yards per game, as you can see, 369 down to 334. So important. Also, a game time decision for Lane Johnson, the future Hall of Famer at right tackle. And the Eagles are going to try to do one thing in this football game. They have a pin-pull concept in their running game with Saquon Barkley. where they run off the right side. And if they have Lane Johnson to run off the right side behind him with Saquon Barkley, they believe they can do some damage against the depleted, injury-depleted 49ers defense. So he's so important to what they do offensively, Lane Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, that Niners defense can't afford to let Saquon have any explosive plays, so that'll be fascinating to watch. As always, Sal coming with the info. We'll see you back in a bit, Sal.
To the AFC, and Drake May making his first playoff start tonight as the Patriots host the Chargers. You know, May, MVP frontrunner, became the youngest player to lead the NFL in completion percentage since the 70 merger. Mike Vrabel led the Patriots to a 14-3 record, time for the most wins by a head coach in their first season with the team in NFL history. And speaking of Vrabel, now leads the Patriots to their first home playoff game since the 2019 season when he was the head coach of the Titans that ended Tom Brady's Patriot career. And that's where we find our Dan Graziano. First on the field at Gillette Stadium. He joins us now live. And